Welcome to SVG-TV News for Wednesday, November 20th, 2019. I am Yvette Bowens with the details. High Court Judge Justice Esco Henry ruled to have the Christian Coalition, which is made up of 10 local churches, to be included in the court challenge to the country's buggery and gross indecency laws. 5 lawyers are representing the churches and are pleased that they were granted the opportunity to represent the Christian community in the matter. The judge accepted the application for the Seventh-day Adventist Church to lead the representation for the 10 churches. One of the lawyers, Mandela Peters, spoke more about the ruling that was handed down by the judge.
Stated that those applicant churches were granted leave to join the proceedings as interested parties. The incorporated trustees of the Seventh-day Adventist Church was appointed to represent the interested parties, and the claimants and the Attorney General were ordered to serve copies of their statements of cases and their submissions upon the applicant churches. Leave was also granted to the applicant churches to file no more than 2 affidavits in response to the claimant's affidavits, and were also granted leave to file written submissions and also to present submissions orally before the court.
The church's application to be joint parties with the Attorney General was based on 2 civil procedure rules. Another lawyer representing the churches, Shirley Bailey, said the written decision from the judge was not ready, which would have stated which procedures were used.
The application that was made before the High Court last week came under 2 parts of the civil procedure rules of 2000, which were amended in 2015, and that was Part 19, which allows an interested party to be joined into the proceedings, and Part 56, which is the section of the civil procedure rules that deals with matters of this type, a constitutional matter, judicial reviews, anything that happens administratively. We're still awaiting the full written decision from the High Court. We had the order read to us in court this morning. So with regards to what part of the civil procedure rules we were permitted to join as parties, that's a little unclear at this time. We will we're eagerly awaiting to see how the High Court ruled in our favour.
The lawyer said that the ruling was highly anticipated and they are prepared to represent the clients, the churches, to the best of their abilities.
This is a great step in that we are now able to present our position in these proceedings. We'll be able to present evidence in support of our position, and also we'll be able to file legal arguments and submissions before the court. So the court is going to be able to get a more rounded view of the issues involved in this matter.
Be able to break down these arguments in bite-sized pieces, so that the nation can understand really what is at stake, what is our argument. We've been saying from the get-go that this is not a fight against persons. We are simply objecting to a behavior, a particular conduct that we believe is damaging, and the record shows that it is, and we want to do what we can to help protect this nation.
The church's legal team is expected to submit their written applications and oral applications in December. Human rights activist Jeannie Oliver is not pleased with the way child abuse cases are being handled and said more has to be done to protect the nation's children. Oliver was speaking to SVG-TV News on the occasion of International Children's Rights Day, observed today under the theme, Children of Today, Our Keepers Tomorrow. The human rights activist said that while there have been many advances made for children generally, child abuse remains a sore issue which needs to be addressed urgently.
Absence of legislation for any foster care program. So while we may take the children from their parents, where parents are abusing them, there isn't that legislation to protect either the child, the mother, or the foster parent. There are issues with the implementation of some of the policies and the principles enunciated by the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Marion House and the Human Rights Association is aggrieved by the fact that the juveniles that come before the court are not housed at the Liberty Lodge.
Oliver says she will continue to speak up until she is satisfied that children's rights are upheld according to international law.
Program for juveniles in conflict with the law, and the program says that they must be, the juveniles must be integrated and they must be rehabilitated. How can we rehabilitate them if we leave them all over the place? They need to be in a structure, a residential structure, where love and care and support will be given to them. If even they come to Marion House's program, at the end of the day, they go back where they are. There's no rehabilitation after they leave Marion House's door. And the Human Rights Association and Marion House will not stop speaking until we provide those services for the children of our nation, particularly those who are in conflict with the law.
Oliver is also of the view that persons dealing with children's rights should pay more interest in the welfare of children.
In our country, we put some round, square pegs in round holes. If we as workers are not interested in the children of our country and their welfare and holding their hand and walking with them on the road to wholeness, then we should get out of the profession or the occupation that we are in. Care, support, interest.
Local butcher Richard Gibson has raised concern about a shortage of beef in the country. Gibson, who has been in the business for more than 60 years now, told SVG-TV News today that while some are saying that there is no shortage, the problem is not new and often becomes an issue as the Christmas season approaches, and more so with the country now exporting cattle to neighboring Grenada.
2012, they start exporting meat to Grenada, and it created a shortage of beef, especially top quality beef that I am accustomed to sell in the United Kingdom. So, and might become a shortage. But this, my greatest concern, this time of the year, we have a big demand for meat for Christmas, especially beef and mutton. But I'm not so worried about the pork, but because there's ample supply of pork. This time of the year, all my chest freezer here are already stockpiled with the special cuts for Christmas. Up to this time, I haven't got any meat to put in it. The meat that I am getting through is not even fit for beef burgers because it's too lean or too young. In 500-600 pounds, which is prime beef, I'm down to 300, 275, I'm at 320.
Gibson operates the Midway Butchers and gets his beef from 3 agents whom he said have also complained about the shortage. He said he does not have enough to supply beef to his customers at Christmas who are already placing orders, and that some persons who are also being affected might be afraid to speak on the issue.
The hotels in the Grenadines are making a lot of beef burgers for the yachty. They are making roti meat and use a lot of mince meat. So I'm supplying them with that. But when they come and order 200 pounds of boneless beef, 200 pounds of mince, I got a great difficulty in supplying that meat. So I had many meetings with the Minister of Agriculture. He told me there's ample supply. But speaking to all the other meat sellers in St. Vincent here, they all approaching me. I must say something. They were established long before I came on the scene. So why don't they go and call a meeting with the minister and explain the situation?
Gibson noted that he is not against cattle exportation to Grenada, as he thinks it is a good idea. However, it should not be done to the disadvantage of local butchers who are feeling the squeeze.
The cannabis that produces Sedvilles and packed in Grenada.
Okay.
So this is not right. Sedvilles first. Let's get the meat industry in Sedvilles, get on a strong footing, and we can have ample supply. We won't worry about it. A few Christmas ago, there was a shortage of mutton. The same thing is going to happen again this year. I don't know what the situation will happen, if we will get any, or there are people out there stockpiling for Christmas. We don't know. But my main concern, I'm looking towards Christmas.
Yes.
To have in stock, because I age my meat. I've got a cold room here. I age my.
On radio today, Minister of Agriculture Suboto Caesar said he is not aware there is a shortage of beef in the country. 2 local traditional cannabis cultivator groups now have a secure, guaranteed market for their products. This development has come through the signing of an agreement between the groups and Green Lava, the first company to officially get off the ground in the local industry. The 2 groups are the Greg's Rastafarian Progressive Multipurpose Cooperative Society Limited and the Farmers Solution Group, the FSS Limited. The Greg's Cooperative, which has a membership of some 22 farmers, operates lands in Mount Grennan, while FSS, with 17 members, has lands at Orange Hill, Rose Hall, Spring and Bower. In a news release, the Medicinal Cannabis Authority said as part of the government's commitment to maintaining and strengthening the position of traditional cultivators within the medicinal cannabis industry, investors are obligated to purchase at least 10% of their cannabis from them. Green Lava SVG was one of the first companies to be granted a Class C license, allowing them to extract, export and cultivate up to 25 acres of medicinal cannabis. The MCA said their 5-acre farm has a capacity to produce over 8,000 pounds per year. There are future plans to reach full capacity of 25 acres, which will result in a yearly yield of over 35,000 pounds. Well-trained entrepreneurs' access to capital and lands are important factors of production for any business to get off the ground and thrive. And Minister of Finance Camilla Gonzalez said the government continues to examine ways to assist young entrepreneurs in this regard. Minister Gonzalez was speaking at a training grant and business incubation graduation ceremony yesterday, hosted by the SVG National Center of Technological Innovation at the Methodist Church Hall. 152 individuals received training in the various programs, which are internationally recognized. They include ICDL, Compatia A+, and networking, and Adobe Photoshop. A well-trained staff is key for any successful business, and Minister Gonzalez said the government will continue to provide training opportunities for youth entrepreneurs.
This program, CASIP, NCTI, with the help of the World Bank, is not a one-off. 700 people have been trained. 25 businesses have gotten substantial grants. And it doesn't just end like that. We're going to continue our investment in training people for technology. We're going to continue our investment in helping businesses get off the ground, move from idea to execution. And we're going to continue demonstrating that even in a poor country with limited resources, we believe the best way forward, the fastest way forward, the most efficient way forward is to bet on young people who are innovative and who are willing to use technology to advance themselves, to advance their families, and to advance this wonderful country of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This is one example of that. I want to congratulate all of you for your achievements and the fantastic job you have done, and we look forward to seeing what more you will accomplish now that you have been so equipped by this wonderful program.
Many young entrepreneurs struggle to access funding for their business ideas, and with this in mind, Minister Gonzalez said the government will soon be engaged in projects to assist these entrepreneurs in finding space and grant funding.
And the government will also be creating in various locations around St. Vincent and the Grenadines some small, modest spaces for entrepreneurs who are offering services or goods, but who might not be able to rent an office or rent a facility to offer those services or goods. We'll be piloting some locations around St. Vincent and the Grenadines where a young person can set up for not money, but undertakings about how they will maintain the place and what they will do and so on. And we'll be setting that up in this year as well. So we're trying to put some money in the hands of entrepreneurs as grants. We're trying to put some physical locations in the hands of entrepreneurs, and we are demonstrating our faith in young people, in entrepreneurs, and in technology to take this country going forward. And you'll hear more about that in the coming weeks.
At yesterday's graduation, a total of 40 out of the 150 graduates were women. Minister Gonzalez said more work must be done to encourage women to become involved in ICT.
So I expect in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, whenever we have a graduation or an event recognizing academic excellence, I expect to see more women than men, because that's a trend nationally. And when it is skewed this much in favor of men, about 113 men to about 40 women, it tells me that there's still a culture that thinks ICT is a man's world. And we have to do what we can to encourage more young women to enter the ICT space, because some of our highest achievers now are women, and one of the areas for greatest growth and development is IT. So we should apply the minds to the field where we get the best growth. And I think we need to do more to encourage young women to participate in ICT. But that's a number we'll watch going forward, and we hope that we achieve something closer to a 50-50 balance.
Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States, the OAS, His Excellency Nestor Mendez, has just concluded a two-day working visit to SVG. A news release from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said during his visit, Ambassador Mendez conducted a series of meetings with high officials of the government, including Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, Minister of Agriculture Suboto Caesar, and Minister of Education St. Clair Prince, in which he discussed bilateral opportunities and future cooperation between this country and the OAS. The release further noted that Ambassador Mendez, a national of Belize, encouraged youth participation in the talent and innovation competitions hosted by the OAS through the Young America's Business Trust. His message was one of youth empowerment and entrepreneurship, emphasizing not only the need to tap into the creative minds for new ideas, but also to shape the youth to be immersed in the global community through bilingualism capabilities. Ambassador Mendez also held meetings with the Director for the Center for Enterprise Development, Felix Lewis, and Director of the SVG Community College, Nigel Scott, reinforcing the same message with focus on the youth. The Assistant Secretary General also took the opportunity to deliver a lecture to the students at the SVG Community College, in which he outlined the work of the OAS, its importance to the hemisphere in the areas of development, security, human rights, and democracy. Ambassador Mendez was accompanied on his two-day visit by Chief of Staff Lacelia Prince, former Ambassador of SVG to the OAS and to the United States of America. Minister of Transport and Works Julian Francis said there is a need for more organized vending in capital Kingstown, and that measures will be put in place to make this happen. Minister Francis was on Monday addressing the launch of activities being hosted this week to celebrate the 122nd anniversary of the Kingstown Board. He said that the Kingstown vegetable market, which he described as a waste of money, is the reason for a lot of vendors being on the streets in the capital, creating problems for business places, pedestrians and traffic, and that it is time to clean up the streets and have organized vending.
I want to make the final fling this year. Come the new year, the latter part of this year and early new year, to do something that has to be done. We have to lighten up the city. The city cannot hold anything else. If more vendors come on the street, and the way we operate as vendors, traffic in Kingstown, pedestrian traffic particularly so, will come to a standstill. And you will have more emergencies on the streets of Kingstown.
Minister Francis said that though vendors are very important to the society, they cannot be allowed to do as they please.
Not chaos. And as Reverend Davis says, any way you feel, you're your own businessman, so nobody could give you order. So when you come in town with your tray, and you take 2 pieces of pallet board and you put up a table somewhere, nobody must tell you to move it because it's your own business. Proud of the tables and chairs that they have as their investment. You put fancy furniture in your office, they put that type of furniture in their vending space. We need to clean that up.
The Transport and Works Minister said that $1.7 million have already been released by the Ministry of Finance to repair 4 buildings in capital Kingstown for the vendors to move into and urged them to take care of the facilities.
There are 4 buildings in Kingstown. We have $1.7 million. It's released already from the Ministry of Finance. It was released last year, and the Ministry of Works just pussyfoot with the project. So you have the old meat market, you have the old vegetable market, you have the current meat market. Those are 3 areas that we are going to clean up and make proper accommodation for the vendors. No pallet wood. I'm carrying up 1 piece of pallet wood inside there. Any piece of pallet wood inside there, fellows must take it and burn it after we don't clean it up. The 4th place is the long room of customs. You know, since customs built this nice 3-story building, that long, what do they call it, long room, customs warehouse, we are going to take some space in that, and we are going to break the walls, facing graves, put in some big doors like the market, pull up and close down, and we are going to put vendors in there. Once we provide comfortable surroundings and accommodation for the vendors, I expect the vendors to play their part.
Vincentian-born Wendell Robinson, who is facing imminent termination as Antigua and Barbuda's Commissioner of Police, has asked to be transferred to a suitable department within the island's public service. In the letter dated October 30, 2019, Robinson reportedly asked that he be placed in an appropriate established position within the civil service in Antigua and Barbuda. The commissioner, who was facing termination, also reportedly requested the use of a serviced government vehicle similar to what obtains in his current position, and that his 33-year tenure with the Antigua and Barbuda Police Force be honored in any new position deemed appropriate through secondment. 2 weeks ago, Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown urged Robinson to negotiate his departure, having been on suspension for 2 years with pay. Prime Minister Brown suggested that Robinson could be given a position equal to what he now holds. Antigua Observer online news site said subsequent to this development, the suspended commissioner missed 2 termination hearings arranged by the Antigua and Barbuda Police Service Commission. A Vincentian police officer who surrendered to police in Antigua on November 14th after being the subject of a wanted bulletin issued by the St. Kitts and Nevis Police has been charged. 24-year-old police constable Elric Juliano Clark, who was returned to Basseterre on November 15th, has been charged with allegedly having unlawful carnal knowledge of a 15-year-old girl on Nevis. The offense allegedly occurred on October 15th, 2019. Clark, a new police recruit in Nevis, disappeared from the Federation before he was charged with the offense. He was hiding on Antigua and Barbuda's sister island, Redonda, and surrendered at the St. John's Police Station on the mainland on Thursday, November 14th. The Antigua Observer news site said Clark told the police in Antigua that he had left St. Kitts 12 days earlier via boat and was dropped off on Redondo, where he remained for approximately 10 days before getting another boat ride to Antigua. The news site said since his return to St. Kitts, Clark has been charged but is yet to make a court appearance. However, the St. Kitts Nevis police are expected to object to his bail.